Hello everyone, welcome back to another English online session. Today I am going to narrate a story from the text Footprints Without Feet. The chapter's name also the same. The fifth chapter from the text Footprints Without Feet. This story is about a scientist named Griffin. He discovers the rare chemicals which can make a man invisible, but at the same time, the man can be touched and felt physically. Let's read and find out how he uses or misuses the power. Now, let's have a glance of his life. Before that, let me give you a brief outline about the writer. Herbert George Wells, popularly known as H.G. Wells, was an English writer. He was prolific in many genres. His writings, dozens of novels, short stories, and works of social commentary, satire, biography, and autobiography, and even two books on recreational war games. He is now best remembered for his science fiction novels and is often called the father of science fiction. Now, let me narrate the story. The story starts like two boys suddenly noticed a few muddy imprints of bare feet. They started wondering that what was barefoot man doing on the steps of a house in the middle of London. They also started thinking that where was the man as he was nowhere to be seen. They suddenly saw another footmark. The man was still not visible. They started following the footprints. They followed them until the footprints became invisible. They had been following a scientist who had discovered how to make the human body transparent or invisible. It is revealed that the name of the scientist is Griffin. He who had been working for a long time to see how to make the human body invisible. Suddenly, one day, he consumed certain drugs which made his body invisible. This is how he became invisible. Even though the body is invisible, it could be felt. Griffin was a lawless person as he had once burned down the house of his landlord who was trying to throw him out of the house. And then, as he wanted to be invisible, he had to remove his clothes and then roam around without clothes and money. His presence was felt after he stepped in some mud, and his footprints could be seen as he walked. This is how those two boys seen the footprints of Griffin on the steps. He easily escaped from the boys who had been following him, but he had more adventures coming up. He had chosen a bad time to wander in London as it was winter season. You all know he is naked now. The body is not covered with any dress. It's severe cold in winter season. So that's a problem he is facing now. It's bitterly cold. He decided to stay inside a store for warmth. So he got into a store. Nobody is going to notice him because he is invisible. As he went inside the store and closing time arrived, the doors of the store were shut and nobody was there inside. So the shopkeepers they just shut the doors, checking everyone. They couldn't see him, so they just closed the door. He got food to eat and wore new clothes without paying for. So without paying any money, he just got new clothes and food. He became visible again as he wore shoe, overcoat, and hat. So when he wore the dress, he became visible again. He then found cold meat and coffee in the kitchen and ate them. He found the food and he had the food. After that, he also had sweets and wine from the grocery store. Then he slept on the pile of quilts kept nearby and could not wake up on time. Next morning, when the assistants came and started approaching him, he became nervous and started running away. Now the people can see him because he is wearing the dress, so they just try to uh, s- chase him, but he ran away from the place. Then the assistants started chasing him as well. He escaped only because he quickly removed his new clothes. So he became again invisible, and without money, without clothes, he just started wandering in that chill air of January. Now he decided to try the clothing of the theatrical world, as he knew that he would surely find something there to cover his face with. So he decided to try that theatrical dress, the dresses of actors. He quickly reached Drury Land. He was just shivering because of the severe cold, so he just quickly reached the shop where he can find the dress matched to him. He found a shop according to his needs and entered it. He came out wearing bandages around his forehead, false nose, a fake nose he used now, side whiskers, this mustache, and a hat. So totally, he just changed his appearance wearing all these dresses. Then, as he did not have any money, he attacked a shopkeeper and robbed him of all his money. Then he felt that London was too crowded and decided to go to a small village nearby. The name of the village is Iping. He took a train and booked 2 rooms in the local inn. The event of a stranger coming and staying at the inn in the winter night was not a normal thing to happen in Iping, and everybody started talking about it. Also, because Griffin looked very strange because of his appearance, his dress he wore, people started looking at him strangely. Because it is a village, the people are not get used with this man. He is a new person, so everyone started looking at him differently. Now, the landlord of the inn where Griffin stayed, Mrs. Hall, made a lot of effort to be friendly with Griffin, but he did not want to talk. He clearly told her that his reasons for coming to Iping was for peace and quietness, and he did not wish to be disturbed in his work. Also, he had given the reason that because of an accident, his face was affected. That's why he covered his face. The landlord's wife, Mrs. Hall, accepted, and her new guest was a strange scientist and was ready to excuse his temper and habits as he paid in advance. So he had given a lot of money to the wife of landlord, so she didn't mind anything what he is doing when he come and when he go. She is not minding anything. Then the time came when his money was over and he had no ready cash available for further payment at the inn. He had to pretend that he was waiting for check which could arrive at any moment. So the money is over. The money he robbed, it was over. Now he is pretending like he is expecting a check. Then something really strange happened. One day, the clergyman and his wife were awakened by noises in their study room. When they were coming downstairs, they could hear the sound of money being taken from the clergyman's desk. The clergyman held a metal rod in his hand and flung the door open. And as soon as he opened the door, he said, "Surrender," as he thought he had caught the thief. But for their surprise, they couldn't see anyone. They looked under the desk behind the curtains and also up the chimney, but the person was nowhere to be seen. So they have checked each and every corner of that house, but they couldn't find anyone there. Yet the desk had been opened and the housekeeping money was gone. So the money was missing, but they don't know who has taken it. Then the clergyman kept on saying, extraordinary affair. So they believed that it is some kind of supernatural power or some sort of phenomenon. The whole day, because he was shocked by the incident, but things that happened with Mrs. Hall's furniture were much more fascinating. So now another incident here, something happened with Mrs. Hall's furniture. Mrs. Hall and her husband woke up very early and were surprised as the door to be the guest room was open. Usually, this room remained closed because we already know that he told he want to maintain a private life here. So if anyone go to enter his room, he get suddenly angry and react to that person. So nobody dare to enter his room. Now it was an opportunity for Mrs. Hall, the landlady, to investigate about what is exactly he is doing. They decided to investigate when they saw that nobody was inside the room. His bedsheet were cold, which showed that he must have been up for a while, and also. So the bedsheet is very cold, and he was not in the room for a long time. It shows like that. All the bandages that he used to tie around his face were lying around the room. Suddenly, Mrs. Hall heard a sniff close to her ear. So they have found the band-aid, other dress items he used. Suddenly, Mrs. Hall heard a sniff, like smelling. Someone is smelling or inhaling. That sound she has heard close to her ear, and Griffin's hat that was lying on the bedpost. So nearby the bedpost, Griffin's hat is lying, and it flung towards Mrs. Hall and hit her on her face. So like someone throw the hat at her, the hat just hit on the face of Mrs. Hall. Then the chair in the room dashed itself, hitting Mrs. Hall in her legs. So it's like the chair itself moving and hitting her. As they got scared, they scared Mrs. Hall and her husband were going out. They are trying to get out of the room somehow. Suddenly, the door slammed like someone slammed it, and they heard the sound of locking the door. Before that, the chair moved to the door like it's moving itself. This terrorized Mrs. Hall, and she was about to fall down from the stairs. So she is kind of unconscious. She about to fall from the stairs. She was convinced of the thought that there were spirits in her inns. So she also thought, like the clergyman, there were spirits, the supernatural elements, the presence of that in her room, and that the stranger had caused this to happen. So this stranger is the reason of the presence of supernatural power. Mrs. Hall moaned means cried, that her mother used to sit in the chair which hit her legs. So it is a sentimental chair. Her mother used to sit in that chair, and it hit her. So she became very sad. So how it can rise against her? She felt very sad because of that. The neighbors of Mrs. Hall thought that it was witchcraft. The neighbors, the other people thought that it is witchcraft or black magic, which had caused such thing to happen. They also came to know about the burglary in the house of clergyman. All those incidents happened in the house of clergyman, and they all started. The people around the inn, the neighbors, all are started suspecting the strange scientist. He is behind all these things. So the suspicion or the doubt grew stronger on him when he produced ready cash for his payment at the inn, even though he had told sometime back that he did not have money and was waiting for a check to arrive. So he informed that Mrs. Hall that he is waiting for a check, but immediately he produced the money. So this increased the doubt against him. The village constable was called for, and Mrs. Hall did not want to wait for him. She went straight to Griffin, as he had appeared from the empty bedroom at the inn. So she just went directly meet Griffin and started questioning. She asked him what had he been doing upstairs to her chair and furniture. So she thought that he was doing some black magic and doing everything because of some supernatural power. She wanted to know what exactly he was doing there. She also asked him how did he come out of the empty bedroom or the locked bedroom. So he just came from upstairs. They are just checking whether he is going upstairs, but there is no sign of that. But suddenly he is coming down. So she just asked that how he just came out of the empty or locked bedroom. When she raised all these questions, the scientist became really angry and he started shouting at her. And he said that they don't know or they don't understand who or what he was, and decided to show them the truth. So he became very angry. He removed his bandages he covered his face, whiskers, the false mustache, spectacles, and also his false nose. It took him just a minute to do all this, and the people in the bar were horrified as they looked at the headless man. So he just cleared all the coverings, the bandages, spectacles, whiskers, everything. Now the place where the head was, it was empty now. Become the people became very terrified. Mr. Jaffers, the constable of the village, was surprised as he saw that he had to arrest a man without any head. So the constable arrived there and he also shocked by the appearance of Griffin. But Jaffers still wanted to do his job, so he knew that the magistrate wanted him to arrest the person, and it did not matter that he had a head or not. As he threw away more and more of his clothes, he became more and more invisible, and finally, after Griffin removed his shirt, he was nowhere to be seen, and Jaffers was struggling to arrest a man who had become completely invisible. It's really complicated to Jaffer. He tried his level best because the magistrate ordered him to arrest this person. If he can't arrest this person, it is a black mark on Jafar. So he struggled. He tried his level best to arrest Griffin. The other people who tried to helping Jaffers were also struggling as they were hit by blows from nowhere. Nobody can understand where is Griffin because he is invisible now. The people tried to help Jaffos, but they also couldn't find Griffin. As Jaffos made his last attempt to catch hold of the invisible man, he was knocked unconscious by the invisible man. Now Griffin just knocked hard on Jaffer, and Jaffer became unconscious. Everybody was shouting, "Hold him," repeatedly, but Griffin had set himself free from them, and nobody could understand how to catch him. All are shouting, "Catch him," but nobody knew that where is Griffin. He is completely free from the catch hold of these people. So, this is the summary of Footprints Without Feet. This is a small portion taken from the novel The Invisible Man. I hope you understood the summary. Now, as usual, just read the text. Don't forget to have a dictionary. See you in the next class. Bye.